Good to see everyone. Thanks for joining Lorraine and I. We're going to talk to you about fast tracking your early career growth, the specific levers that we took, and then also some of the mistakes that we learned because there's too many to count in 30 minutes. Okay. Lorraine, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, of course. Hello, everyone. So nice to meet you. I'm Lorraine. I spent a decade in tech as a founding editor at companies like LinkedIn and Prezi. My book, Unforgettable Presence, came out in April, teaches you how to go from overlooked to unforgettable at work. And after a layoff at the end of 2022, decided to start my own business. So now I speak, I teach, I'm a content creator, a lot of different things, and all wonderful. And I think that's how I met you, Jason and Ethan, through my business. So it's been wonderful collaborating.
Yeah, and that is how we met. And two fun facts about Lorraine. So everywhere Ethan, my business partner, he travels probably 30 weeks out of the year. Everywhere he goes to an airport, he sends Lorraine a photo of her book
Yeah.
because her book is everywhere, especially at Hudson News and airports. And then you'll see here, Lorraine went to Northwestern. We were just chatting earlier because I have like 4 or 5 family members that went to Northwestern. So the common ground of the Wildcats college alumni is always fun to chat about.
Yep.
And her book is very good. We have a lot of Level
Thank
Up
you.
members who read it and recommend it. So check it out.
Thank you.
Quick bio about me. I thought I was going to be able to become a lawyer. I did not become a lawyer. Instead, I went to the world of advertising, digital media, and marketing. In 7 years, I went from assistant media planner managing 0 people to VP managing an org of 40, big P&L, and $400 million marketing budget. That was fun. Went to Amazon. Thought I was going to be there for 20 plus years and my career there because I really liked it. But then decided to cliff jump into a um, pre-seed startup on the founding team and where we raised $8 million on a PowerPoint deck. And that was a wild roller coaster ride. And then after that, now I'm doing Level Up with Ethan. And then on the side, I help mentor Techstars, First Round Capital, because I like to give back to founders and startups. And then I serve on the advisory council of the Harvard Business Review, which basically means if they ever need help, they just email me and I help them as best I can. Okay. Today, we're going to cover the levers that we drove, the levers that we took that drove our rapid career growth. You'll hear from both of us, Lorraine first, then myself, and then we'll cover the mistakes, and then we'll do some Q&A at the end. All right, Lorraine, take us through what worked for you.
Okay, so this first one, I think especially when you're early in your career is really important. You want to make sure that you're delivering and you're doing great work, right? That's what you got hired in the first place. Um, and you want to make sure that your work is perfect and you're just rock solid when it comes to your deliverables and what you're giving to your team. Now this later, which I'll address later turned into a bit of a mistake when it came to grow to that next level. But I think what got me those promotions early on in my career was really doing that great work, being a reliable teammate, and that was very important in helping me build my reputation in corporate. The second thing I would say is having a positive attitude and just always being open to trying new things, being open to learning. This one doesn't feel like it's talked about as much, but I think it does really go a long way, right? You want to be a likable person, someone who brings good energy to the workplace, whether that's in person or remotely. So that's something that I think worked very well in my favor, especially again, like if you're early in your career, you want to show that enthusiasm, show that you're willing to learn and keep growing with the organization. And then the third piece is the networking. I'm someone who has always networked and really built relationships throughout the entire course of my career. So I was just telling Jason before you all hopped on that I was part of this alumni organization at Northwestern. The way that I got invited to it is that in I think my freshman year, this organization was doing a networking event at Northwestern, and I stayed in touch through college, a few years after college, and would just like regularly update them on what I was doing, and then someone ended up inviting me into that organization. So building relationships, staying in touch with people, even when rather, especially when you don't need anything, I think is very powerful to help you stay top of mind. so that when another opportunity comes your way or you're looking for something else, you have a really great foundation set up.
I think so, Lorraine. I'm going to build on these 3 points because I think they're very important,
Yeah.
and I want everyone here to learn uh, about this. So, point one: later on in your career, if your reputation is you're just too reliable, that can become an anchor. But as
Yeah.
Lorraine said, early on in your career, it is a superpower because the senior leaders and your manager, they're still trying to figure out the strength of your judgment, your opinions, how you deal with ambiguity in complex situations, right? So being known as someone who can deliver reliably and
Mhm.
deliver results that are needed
Yeah.
is important. So sometimes I see overly ambitious people try to skip that part too quickly, and it can bite you in the behind later on.
Yeah.
So that's important. Number two, say yes to learning. I love the positive attitude. It reminded me of two things. Number one, a senior leader once told me, so this person's like a CEO at a Fortune 500, you can train skills, but it's very hard to train energy and personality
An attitude, right? Yeah.
and attitude. Um, And the older I get and the more people that I've managed and work with, it's very true.
Yeah.
Skills, especially with AI and online tools, you could catch up quickly. But someone who has ownership, bias for action, positive sum attitude, it's uh it's hard to change.
Yeah.
And then the other part I'll say, I have a good friend. His name is D. Murthy. He's a rocket ship startup co-founder. He's raised over 100 million for his startup called Ghost, GHST. Anyways, he was raising Series C from investors, and he's going on a roadshow. And one of the VCs said, "D, I know you're meeting with a lot of investors, and you can have your pick. When it comes down to it, use the airport test." And D's like, "Oh, what's the airport test?" And he said, if you're stuck at an airport with someone, who are you most likely to be okay with being there for 5, 8 hours? And D said, "Oh, that's okay. This is D talking to himself now." He said, "Oh, that's really good advice.
Yeah.
But that's not you. So sorry, I'm not going to pick you." But it ties back to the likability,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
important. And then the networking. Okay, this is super important. I think Lorraine's example is so good because she played the long game.
Yeah.
And that's what networking is. It compounds. Your career is going to be decades long. And Lorraine, you started in college, right?
I think it was freshman year. Yeah.
Oh, freshman year. There you go. And now you're on this council of 100.
Yep. Yep.
Yep. And you probably meet people who are at different seniority levels, different experience and age levels.
Yeah, most of them are actually more senior and more experienced. So it's like wonderful for me as like one of the younger members to have that entire network and community to lean on.
What okay, so this part. So the biggest question with networking is how do I do it effectively? If you had to say, what did you do for that current member to invite you? What would you say you did?
I think the first most important thing, so actually I don't know if I started this in college or not, but I started sending out an annual holiday newsletter, which you will also be receiving, Jason. So
Nice.
even when I was very young, like, you share some professional stuff, you did an internship or, your first job, whatever it is, talk about it. You might talk about some personal things as well. And you just don't know who's watching. And I would always get a response from her just saying she was really excited for me and proud and all that stuff. But it didn't even occur to me that I could become part of this group. I kind of like idolized them. I was younger and I'm like, oh, this is just something separate that it's cool to be in touch with them. And yeah, I really stay top of mind. Um, Over time, again, you're talking about compounding. It's like, oh, I'm seeing Lorraine's like career grow. And one of the criteria when you're younger for being invited is like a fast career trajectory. So she's seeing it like each year and she's getting updates. And we don't have to be, talking every week throughout the year, but just having those strategic touch points and those moments really helped just stay top of mind. And again, she knew what I was doing.
Oh, I love that. I think that's super smart. How did you decide who to put on that email list? Is it just everyone?
Yeah, I think to start, it was pretty much anyone I had met at various networking events or people come, for career fairs at school. And then like at my internship manager, you start like building and adding. And there's people who at this point, like, I don't really remember like how we met or just like why they're on my email newsletter, but they'll still respond and it's like nice to hear from them. And it's not about a quantity. I think when I was younger, maybe I sort of approached it a little bit more quantity wise just because I didn't have as big of a network. But over
Mm.
time, you realize like who you connect with, who's excited to hear from you, who's invested in seeing you grow and succeed. And then you start adding them and just keeping track and just finding your group and finding your people. And some people will never respond and that's fine. And I've had people say, "Oh, do you mind, taking me off the list?" And that's fine too. But most people will want to stay on and most people will at least give a cursory glance to the updates that you share.
Okay, so everyone on listening to this and in the video recording, if you had to take one action from this talk, I think it's this one. Start this annual newsletter, email list, whatever you want to call
Yeah.
it, but give people professional and, interesting personal updates.
Yeah.
It is probably one of the best ways to stay in touch. And
Yeah.
all you need is one, two, or three replies from someone to maintain that relationship and to start something.
Yeah.
Here's the secret from the senior executives. So the people, usually they're much older, they like to hear from younger people,
Hmm.
usually because of two things. It sometimes reminds them of a younger version of themselves,
Yeah.
or if they have children, it kind of
Hmm.
reminds them of their children. And sometimes they'll reply and say something like, "Hey, Lorraine, I love what you're doing here. My child just entered college. Do you think you could give them tips?" I'm telling you, anytime you can help someone's kids,
Yeah.
they will be in gratitude. So, okay, that's a great tip. Okay. Uh, Okay, what worked for me? I'm gonna keep. I themed this one proof points, and it's two things. So, no matter what role you're in, what I did immediately was I looked at the next level job description (JD) and I pinpointed with my manager the top two usually requirements of that next level role, and I worked backwards on how I can make sure I worked or got experience to make sure that I checked them off and nailed it. So, I don't think enough people do this proactively. So do this. And the best time to pinpoint these with your manager is after a big or small win. After you ship something, sold something, marketed something successful, and you go to your manager in your next one-on-one, say, "Hey, manager, I'm so happy we made this work together. I'm looking, future forward at my career. At the next job description, I noticed these two things are really important. And here's how I'm thinking I could get experience with it. Can we work together?" That's how you do it. And number two, proof pilots and scale it. So this ties to the two photos on the slide. What I did well in my career was I paid attention to sectors that I thought were growing, that were important to the business, and then I did very quick pilots to prove them out. In this case, for a marketing example, it was a $25,000 budget campaign for a marketing test. And then once it worked, then you scale it up to 50,000, 75, 150, 250, half a million. Then now you're talking about multi-million dollar deals, right? Um, the key is you prove it as a pilot to then scale it, and then to show that you're thinking broader in the org, you take your idea and you have a plan to scale it to other teams and to the broader company. The reason why that's important is because it shows that you're a steward of the company and you're thinking levels ahead. Remember, anytime you do something successful within your team or org, the senior executives are thinking, how do we scale this company wide to have company wide impact? That's what executives do, right?
Mhm.
So you want to show them that you can nudge it. And then here's the beauty of it, because you are the originator of it, usually when this thing scales, they need you involved. Hey, Lorraine was the one who started this, or Jason started this. Your team needs to talk to them. And that's how you brought in your scope, your visibility, your reputation. It's a downfall effect. Okay.
Do we have time to, or do we have to go into the mistakes, or do I just
Oh,
keep it?
no, no, no. Let's go.
Okay. I really love what you both of these points. I think the first one, that's also something like I wish I would have realized. Again, like the hard work, you kind of get tunnel vision. You're like, I'm gonna do the job and the work that's right in front of me. But you mentioned my book, like I interviewed 3 dozen leaders. Some of them are, C-suites at household names, companies and brands, and like that's what they say. It's like to get promoted to reach that next level, you need to show that you're already doing the next thing. And then I really like what you said, Jason, about it's not just, oh, I want to get to this point, but you said, I want to get to this point, and here's how I think I can get there. So it's like a form of managing up and just showing another way to show proactivity that you're really thinking ahead and not just like expecting your manager to come up with the game plan. And then to your second point, especially with how quickly um, things are changing and AI and just we're expected to produce more with fewer resources, to be able to be very agile with your work and to experiment and to iterate. I think that's a very important workplace skill that we all need to think about and to work on. I know there's a lot of perfectionists out there who are like, I'm gonna do the thing 100% before I show it to anyone, but doing 30, 50, 80 and just getting that feedback to be able to execute quickly and get more feedback, whether from your clients or your colleagues, I think is very, very important and helps you stand out a lot.
Yep, I agree. Quick feedback loops. It's another term for
Yeah,
efficiency too, right?
yeah.
Which is well, de facto one of the keywords this year. Okay, great points. Okay, mistakes.
Okay, so, first mistake, thinking that my hard work was going to definitely lead to promotion or career advancement. I made a lot of assumptions. Hard work is going to get me there. Oh, I've been at the company for many years. The loyalty will get me there. Oh, because I work on this important thing, it's going to get me there, right? But there's so much that goes into it, in terms of making sure that your work is known in the first place and like how to advocate for yourself and how to be visible, leaning into or going into the second point here, promotions don't just happen when your manager decides that you're ready. There's people in the room. And I shouldn't just say I want a promotion when it's annual review time, right? Like laying the groundwork 6 months ahead of time, knowing who's in the room, getting them on my side. There's so much intentionality and thoughtfulness that needs to go into a career if you want it to grow quickly. And then again, also related, point number three, not having a career brand. I have a whole chapter in my book about this because this was a big mistake of mine. I was, as Jason alluded to before, reliable, trustworthy, great at executing, which is great up to a certain point, but your career brand needs to evolve and change. It's essentially your reputation, your personal brand, right? So you need to be thoughtful about how you're coming across. Get again feedback loops from your coworkers to understand how you're being perceived in the workplace and what changes might you need to take depending on what your goal is. And then the last thread and piece of advice that I have for all of you. I didn't treat myself as the CEO of my own career. It's a phrase I use a lot now, but it's really about not just assuming things are going to happen, not leaving things to chance, but I'm going to be so proactive. I'm going to be so intentional. I'm going to find out and get all the information and data that I need so that I can really advocate for myself and put myself in the rooms that I might not otherwise know about or be considered for. And so, really, just taking that extra step to realize, oh, I actually have more control over the outcomes of my career if I, am very intentional and sort of lean in.
I feel like this is the stuff that they need to teach in college. Don't make these early career mistakes.
Yeah.
Uh, no career brand. Okay, here's the thing with career brand. Either you're going to dictate your career brand or someone else is going to do it for you.
Yep.
But either way, it's going to happen. So you might as well own it, right? It's a very good part in Lorraine's chapter. And the nice part is it's short, right? It's not some fancy complex formula that you have to
Right.
memorize and take a chemistry test on because I'm not good at chemistry. You could do it yourself and it's your controllable input. The CEO of your own career, this is a very important mental model shift to have
Mhm.
because if you're lucky, you will have a fantastic manager who's proactive, cares about your career, and is going to spearhead it with you. That's very rare. I probably had maybe at best 50% of my managers did that. So don't leave it up to chance.
Yeah.
Remember, your manager's busy managing their own career,
Yep.
managing up, sideways, and down, and you and your team, right?
Mhm.
So make it one click easy for them to help you. This is, as Lorraine said, being proactive, giving them options. Hey, manager, I looked at this problem, and these are the three things that I looked at. I recommend option one. Now your manager has three options: yes, no, or here's my extra thoughts, right? But you're not giving them a blank slate. Um, And yeah, I wrote, I see it in the Zoom chat. Everyone is busy. So don't assume that your manager is going to drop everything to work on just your career. Okay.
Yeah.
All
Even if
right.
they're
Great,
good,
great
even if
points.
they're a great manager, Jason, like they're still busy, right? Like I've actually
Yeah,
had many great managers, but they're not going to care as much as I care for my own career.
exactly.
Yeah.
And when you become that manager, you'll get that experience and you could decide how much you want to help, your teammates. I will say, there was one day where all three of us got promoted on the same day. Me, my direct report, and then his direct report because we succession planned in advance, knowing this would happen.
That's awesome.
But that takes planning and proactiveness. It
Yeah.
doesn't just happen.
Yeah.
Okay. My mistakes. Funny, it's all about staying in touch and recalling details in the networking. So, network maintenance, it's funny. What Lorraine did really well is what I would consider a mistake. A lot of people think that I'm an excellent networker and they would rate me a AA plus or just say A. I would rate myself a B minus because I have a good network, but I don't do a great job maintaining it like Lorraine does. That annual newsletter that she did, I never had one. I never started it. Now I have a public newsletter, so a lot of people stay in touch with that. But
Mhm.
I wish I did the newsletter because I'll tell you, if I started this as an assistant digital media planner at age, what, 21, 22, right out of college, and fast forward over 15 years now, most of my mentors, C-suites and CEOs.
Mhm.
A lot of my peers, almost all executives, VP, SVPs, EVPs. So it's a super powerful. Yeah, we text and all that stuff, but if you can mechanize it where people are expecting it, and you can remember, like Lorraine says, she does an annual end of year or holiday type of newsletter. Yeah, people are kind of expecting the reflections at the end, right? And it's a new year, new you, so they want to see what's going on. You could time it with something like that, and it only takes a few people to respond. Number two here, the brag file. I wish I started this earlier um, because this is the mistake I made. Was I thought I would remember every detail and success story when I was young. That project, yeah, I remember how many people I worked with, the results, the click through rates, the sales, blah blah. I don't remember any of that. So what I mean by the brag file is keep a working document, forever we're in progress, and note all your wins by date, by role, and use the star format: situation, task, action, result. And I would write it in that format, right? Because when you're looking for the next job or you need to update your resume or you need to remind someone what happened, you can just easily refer back to it. If you ask me what I did as a director at past company, I probably couldn't tell you. I could tell you the headline, but the details probably a little hard. um, so that's why the two photos of Micah Scott when he was young, and it looks like he might have gotten promoted, and now he's the world's best boss. But in this case, sometimes you're not always because you forget things. Okay, anything here, Lorraine?
These are these are great. You know, one thing that I started doing is I very much use my resume as sort of like the repository, truncated repository of all the great things I did. LinkedIn, be active on LinkedIn. Not everything on your LinkedIn is going to be on your resume, so that can be a way to collect things and just make sure anyone who goes to your page sort of gets a good comprehensive view of everything you've done, not just the past X number of years.
Yeah, exactly. So if you just we gave you quite a bit of points in this talk, but each slide just take one action. So that means you'll have a total of four in this talk, and just get to work on it at least starting Monday. You will start to see the results, and just let it compound. Remember, it does take time.
Yeah.
Okay, before we get to live Q&A, two things to share. Uh, I teach a course called Get Promoted Faster. It's for ICs and managers. It's designed for earlier career. So I like to say under 15 years experience. It's 8 hours of live class. I go super deep in this stuff. I answer every frequent question because I like it. It's rated 4.9 out of 5. It was featured in the Pragmatic Engineer newsletter, which has over 1 million subscribers. And it's applicable for any domain: marketing, ops, eng, product, design, UX, program. It's all these principles apply broadly. You'll get a lot of content, and you can just read the reviews on the page. I'll send the link later. And then Lorraine's book, um, I highly recommend it. You've heard us talk about it. It's everywhere. As you can see, it's a bestseller on Amazon. Any Lorraine, if you had to give one little nugget about this book, what would you say?
Gosh, there's so many nuggets. So the book, like I said before, helps you go from overlooked to unforgettable, and it's redefining what presence means in this day and age to hopefully help you feel more empowered and more confident that you're going to be able to build your presence no matter what point you're at in your career. It's not just a senior level executive presence situation, but it's for everyone at all levels.
Yeah, and I recommend this. So the book, I mean, Lorraine's term that she has here, unforgettable presence, is such a great term. It's one of those that you wish that you had it yourselves, that you trademarked it yourselves. Um, Presence is really important, especially mid and senior year career. If you could nail it early in your career, it'll be a turbo boost because remember, with presence comes enhanced credibility, enhanced trust, and enhanced respect from the senior leaders. And Lorraine's book does a great job showing how you exude this presence both in person and virtually. So if you work in a hybrid or remote world or have peers or managers to do, this is really important. It makes a big difference because first impressions really matter, right? So you want to nail it. Okay, let's get to audience questions. Garv, your hands up. Go ahead.
Thanks, Jason. This was an incredible talk. I got a lot out of this. So I have a question about, so currently I'm an intern at a company, and as an early career professional, I wanted to know how can I stay in touch with senior leaders at my current company over time in these next 4 or 5 months, and what should I be talking to them about? Because I sometimes like don't have anything to say, like nothing meaningful. So I'm just like sometimes getting confused about, hey, what should I talk to them about? I don't have anything. So yeah, would love to know your thoughts.
Okay, I'll go first, Lorraine, and then chime in.
Sure.
How you do it is just capture their personal email and then just keep it in a database. Just send it as a Gmail, right? And BCC everyone. Don't share their emails. Don't make that mistake. That would be a presence blunder. Don't do that. And then usually what you want. So in these emails, because I used to do this with my out of office, I just never mechanized it into email. You want two things: exciting professional updates, things that you're working on, or things that you have won. People like to hear about wins. And when you show wins, you show that you have success. So it could be like 3 bullet points. And then on the personal side, remember, there's that phrase, to be interesting, you have to be interested. So tell them about yourself. What is something that you're building on the side? Are you helping as a volunteer at a nonprofit or charity? Did you just participate in I don't know, Ironman or triathlon? Something interesting where they could pick it up and say, oh, I also do that. Or I know someone who does that. Or my son or daughter or whoever or cousin or whatever, niece, nephew also does that. That's what you want them to pick up on. So like Lorraine and I were talking about Northwestern, commonality. It could be sports. It could be hobbies. It could be whatever. But those are like the two main buckets. And again, keep it concise. Remember, these people are busy. Executives, just imagine that they always read on their mobile phones. So 2 to 3 bullet points each section, professional and personal. And then you could include like, oh, here's something I like as an early career. If you don't have anything crazy to share, you could always say, I watched this interesting TED Talk or article, and I thought it was applicable. Insert 1 or 2 sentences. That'll show what you're interested in. Okay, Lorraine, anything to add?
Yeah, I think plus one to all of that. Sharing industry news, articles that you've seen, and sharing like your take, or yeah, again, like why is it interesting to them, will also show like how you think about things and your perspective on things, which I think is helpful. The one other thing I would add is checking in and seeing like what's on their mind, how can you be helpful? Maybe they're looking to hire someone with a certain background. They're looking to learn more about X, Y, and Z. So as much as, Jason was saying, be interested, like also offer up that help and be as helpful and valuable as you can to them. I think that will also go a long way. But I also just don't feel like you have to have such like a high threshold. Like this sort of like reminded me of when people want to post on LinkedIn and they're like, I need to have the most groundbreaking, like unique idea before I do it. And I'm like, no, no, no. Take that pressure off yourself and yeah, follow everything Jason said. I agree with it 100%.
In terms of cadence, you probably want to do at least one a year,
Yeah.
at the most one a quarter, at the most.
Yeah.
It could be a little annoying at that time, so maybe twice a year or one a year, but
Yeah.
just make it it's more about the content.
Yeah.
And then you could always end it, hey, if there's anything I could do to help you, let me know. And you can
Yeah.
make it easy by saying, I'm best at helping you with one, two, three. That's good for the executives. And it could be like, hey, I've become pretty good at interviewing or reviewing resumes. If anyone in your family or friend needs it, I'm happy to do it. Um, here's a secret tip if you want to really turbocharge it. Prove it, don't show it. So instead of linking to someone else's work, if you could say, hey, I'm really interested in the growth of small businesses on e-commerce through Shopify, and then you link it to something that you've built, that shows so much more. It's a lot more impressive,
Yeah.
right? And then it's easy for them to share it, and they can say, oh yeah, my friend runs a $10 million Shopify brand. I just sent it to them. They might reach out to you. Right? Again, one click easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, think about what Lorraine has. She now has a book and a newsletter.
Yeah.
So anytime someone in her network is thinking about presence or wants to be unforgettable,
Hmm.
it's Lorraine's top of mind, right? So keep that in mind. So have products out there, article, a podcast, something you've built, etc. Okay. Next hand raise. Let me know if I mispronounced the name, but is it Knock?
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
Ma is okay. Thank you for hosting this event today, and it's very important to note about maintaining the relationship. I think that's most people ignore about. And I have a question regarding sending a newsletter every year, and because I have a lot of people, and I don't think I have time to do it for everyone. So I'm thinking of maybe sending for some people that I am more close with and posting that on social media like LinkedIn to target the people that I'm not very close with. What do you think about? Would that be kind of repetitive or something?
No, I think I'll take this, Jason. I think that's totally fine. When it comes to you were saying like you don't have time to email everyone. Like I do BCC everyone, and I'll say like hi friends or hi friends and family, and I'll give just a little snippet of what I'm emailing about, and then I design my newsletter, so I hyperlink it out for them to click through. But you can do that, like, and that's just adding everyone. Gmail, if you have a Gmail account, you can tag people. So I created a holiday listserv, and so I add them and I tag them as I meet people. And then you just have to type in the listserv name and it'll email everyone. And I think it's a great idea to post on LinkedIn as well. I mean, it just sort of depends your comfort level. Like I might share slightly more personal things in my email newsletter versus LinkedIn, just depending. So I think if you want to post on LinkedIn and you feel comfortable, that's great. Then there's going to be people who don't know you who read it, and maybe they'll start following you or be interested. And then there'll be people who kind of know you and then they're still getting an update. So it's just a wonderful way to stay top of mind.
Thank you.
Hmm.
Yep, agreed with that. One email, BCC everyone, keep it light on yourself. Mary.
Yeah, so I would be considered somebody who is an early career manager track, so about 3 years of experience. But I would like to target for my next role to be more of an individual contributor and progress in that. I'm not really sure how to communicate to my boss that I'm not interested in being I don't know what it's called, but just for right now, I'm not interested in being a manager or like an executive assistant, chief of staff. That role, I don't identify with it that much right now. So I would just like to be an IC and kind of enjoy that for a while. Yeah. Do you think I could like start a conversation with my manager and partner with him about this?
Does your current company have a clear IC track for you?
Uh, yes, I think that they do, but I haven't initiated this conversation. I know they have it for other employees. I've observed this happening. Yes.
Okay. My recommendation is in your one-on-one, you want to seed this out to your manager and just keep share what your career goals are and that you like to stay on the building side. Because there are reasons why you prefer being an IC, right? And you don't want to lead with the weaknesses. For example, you don't want to say, I don't like managing people or I don't like dealing with people. Hence I want to be IC. Some people do that. Don't do that. Focus on the strengths. I'm great at building. I'm great. I want to stay close to the customer, and I'm very good at staying as keeping up to date with the latest tools. And I believe my best value to this company is as this type of IC. And that remember, to the company, they care about what value you can drive for them, their stakeholders, customers, etc. So you need to paint that picture to your manager and then have it align with your personal goals. And then it depends on the trust of your manager too, on how candid you want to be. Let's say there's good to excellent trust. I would be upfront and say, hey, manager, I love working on this company and on the team with you. I see my greatest contributions with the company doing X as an individual contributor working on Y, and I would like to get to this place. How can we work together on that? Those are some broad languages.
Yeah, and I love too, Mary, that you want to verbalize this, right? So if we're talking about career mistakes, like me assuming I'm going to get promoted. This reminds me of a story with my former LinkedIn colleague where she hadn't gotten promoted for a few years, but she was great. I always wondered why. One day she comes into the office, she gets promoted. I'm like, what happened? And she says, oh, I had to just let my manager know that that's what I wanted. So similarly, on the flip side for you, you're like, I don't want to be promoted into the manager track. So your manager won't know unless you verbalize. And Jason obviously gave great ways for how to verbalize that, but you want to make it known. We can't, again, don't assume anything, don't assume they know, right? Everyone has different career aspirations. Everyone's has different seasons of their career depending on where they're at in their personal life. So I think finding some way to at least make it known is very important.
And so here's the thing. Remember, there's like a strategy to both sides, manager path and IC path. So let's say you're an IC right now. If you want to become a first line manager, the steps that have worked well is, hey, manager, I want to lead the internship program because you want to get experience managing people. And then, hey, manager, this peer project, I want to take the lead on it because blah, blah, blah. Basically, you're putting yourselves in shoes where you could, quote unquote, get management experience. Because as a first time manager, that's the biggest thing that you'll lack. So you yourself don't even know if you want to, or if you like or are good at managing people, let alone your manager. They might have a hunch. So remember, show it with pilots, right? In this case, internship program, blah, blah, blah. With the IC track, it differs because then you say things like, hey, manager, I want to take lead on learning the latest AI tool and how it can apply for our company. And then once you learn it, set up these lunch and learns to teach others, not in a authoritative or management perspective, but as influencing without authority from a peer level, right? And that's how you can scale your influence as an IC. And then you basically just stay away from the management experience part. So if you want to stay on the IC, you leading the internship program, probably not as needed, right? Because you don't need that as much. So those are the examples of how you could play it out. Okay. I know we're over time by 10 minutes. No worries. Lorraine, if you have to drop, feel free.
I do, yes. But it was so nice meeting all of you. Add both of us on LinkedIn. Thank you, Jason, for having me on. And we're talking Monday, I think, so I'll see you soon.
Oh yeah, are we?
Next week, Monday or Tuesday. I don't remember what we scheduled.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay. See you, Lorraine. Thanks for joining us.
Okay.
Bye. Okay, everyone else, I will quickly answer the Q&A tools. And if anyone has raised questions, just raise your hand. So let me go with the first one. I haven't read these yet, so I'm just going to paste these in. Okay, let me see. When you start out in a new job, you want to be helpful and take on responsibilities that might be out of scope. It can backfire. How do you make sure you step back without making it look bad for you later early on? Okay, the situation here is new job. So in the first 90 days, let's call it. So let's work backwards from the first 90 days. What you want to do in the first 3 weeks is just learn as much as possible, ask the questions, use the badge of, hey, I'm new here. I'm here to help. I'm here to learn. And then if you can help and deliver with something small, a small win, it could be, dirty work or grunt work or glue work, just do it because it shows that you're here to add value, that you have a bias for action, and that no job is beneath your title, right? Or scope. And then in meetings where you're talking about bigger scope, bigger responsibilities, index higher on questions. Oh, how did we come up with that frame of thought? Or what were some other options we considered? And how do we decide this one? Right now, you're too new to likely have a strong opinion at this level as to where certain projects go. You still need to onboard. So asking those questions, get the point of view of the team, show that you respect their opinions, deliver with them, and then later on, once you start to have, then you could have more input. But in the first 3 weeks, I would focus on learning. And then the first 90 days, at the end of the 90 days, you want one big win. It could be a solo win or a combined team win. But that's how I would approach it. Yeah, you don't want to, unless you were brought in specifically to be a change agent and to make things happen fast. That's usually on the more senior levels. I wouldn't be a bull in a china shop per se early on, because you still need to build the trust, the credibility. Okay. Think of trust as a battery, right? When you're new and early on, you need to fill and charge that battery because you're working with less trust. You're still the new person. Okay, let's see. Q2. How do you start building a career brand from scratch? The key points here is deliver what's asked of you to show that you're competent and reliable. Then start to volunteer and ask for more stretch projects. And then whatever's given to you, deliver it again. Because now you're building trust. And then when you have trust, start to really insert your opinion and judgment. Oh, my point of views on this. I recommend this. Out of these three options, I suggest this. Now um, you're building your judgment and the reputation on how you think. And this is important for the later levels. And then, you know, identify what your strengths are. And you could do that by self-observing yourself and reflection, but also asking your manager, your peers, what do you think I'm really good at? Like top two. It could be domain expertise, it could be tool knowledge, it could be a specific trait, something like that. And double down on those things because those can scale, right? Um, so, for example, if you are known as being very good at adopting and applying the latest AI tools, do the lunch and learns and teach others because then you'll be known as someone who can teach it to others and that scales, right? So that's how you start to build a career brand. Um, and usually with a career brand, you want to start off pretty niche, right? You want to be known as the domain expert in X. And then once you have more experience and broader business judgment, then you can expand it. But that's how you could start. Um, the other thing too is within your domain, always have a good list of resources that you could recommend to others. It could be podcasts, articles, newsletters, people to follow, because it just shows that you're up to date on the latest. This is particularly helpful with senior executives and new technology or trends because they tend to be further removed. For example, earlier on in my career, um, e-commerce and digital social media advertising was fairly new. This was back in like 2010. So Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Amazon.com, those advertising channels were just burgeoning. So to be an expert on how to monetize, increase click-through rates, increase ROI was powerful. So a lot of the senior executives looked to me as one of the domain experts for that. That's how you could parlay it. And with AI tools is the common one right now that a lot of executives know is important, but they're not in the dashboards building it. But you could be. So then you could look up into that, right? I remember I had a friend, this was early on. She became known as the Gen Z whisperer. Anytime a CMO of a Fortune 500 brand needed to target Gen Zs, she was the go-to person because she knew what channels they were talking about. She knew the lingo. She knew the hashtags to use, all this kind of stuff, right? And it could be as simple as use vertical video, not horizontal, because on Snapchat or TikTok, this is what they use, right? Or that time Vine, which I think was required by Twitter, things like that. Or instead of using publisher magazine reviews, use peer real customer reviews because that's what that audience gravitates more. They don't want to hear from Condé Nast or Wired magazine. They want to hear from their friend on how they use the latest camera technology, something like that, right? Okay, so you could do that. Okay, I'll take a hand raise. Knock.
Hello. This question is about one-on-one with manager. I know it's recommended by everyone, but since I work very closely to my manager, I work with him. We all work in the office in person 4 days a week, and he also only has to manage two full-time employees. The rest are all contractors. So I wonder if I still need to try to schedule one-on-one with him or no.
Do you have an existing one-on-one schedule or no?
No.
Okay, so I'm just gonna rapid fire questions. Do you regularly talk about your career goals and aspirations?
No, it only happens at the performance review.
How often is that a year? Twice a year?
Yeah, twice a year.
Okay, so that's not enough. This is what I would recommend. Um, let's just, I'm assuming everyone's really busy. So what you can do is you can start off with at least once a month one-on-ones. And the purpose of this one-on-one is not a work status update. It's more on what are your career goals and how are you working towards that? That's why I think once a month is okay. And it could be a concise 30-minute meeting. That is a very low lift for your manager, right? Once a month, 30-minute, you own the agenda. And the key here is for you to make sure that your manager is clear on your goals. There's alignment, that there's always an action item or two from that meeting that gets you towards those goals. So let's just assume your goal is promotion in like 12 to 18 months, that time frame. So you're working with a decent runway. So let's say you have a good 6 one-on-ones, once per month coming up. Each of them can be like, okay, in order for you to be a strong candidate for a promotion incline, you need to work on these three things. Number one could be visibility with XYZ stakeholders. So now you know that it's important for you to work closely with them and their team, the other stakeholder. Number two could be you need experiencing delivering or managing X type of project. Okay, now you have 4, 5, 6 months to get toward that. Or another one could be I need to see if you even like managing before I put you in charge of two people. Now that could be, you mentioned contractors. Can you take lead on managing two of the contractors, right? Take it off your manager's plate. Another like a test pilot. That's how I would treat those. Do not get stuck in one-on-ones as a status. It's a waste of time for everyone. And if you fall into that trap, it's hard to get out sometimes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. The key with one-on-ones and your manager is you own it. You own the agenda, you own the scheduling, and you drive the meeting. Don't walk into this office or Zoom saying, hey, manager, what do you want to talk about? Saying, hey, manager, we have 30 minutes. These are the 3 topics I want to cover. And then go into it. Okay, so do that. All right. Last question in the Zoom Q&A is, how can these strategies be used in mid-career situations? 100% they can. They could still be used in senior level career situations. But let's see. The strategies that we covered. Let me pull up the PowerPoint deck. Positive attitude. Keep it going. Okay, so the positive attitude is the entire span of your career. Because remember this, here's the thing. The senior executives are usually responsible for maintaining the energy of a project, keeping momentum, delivering results, driving the tempo, driving speed, and driving bias for action. Having been in that seat many times, it can get tiring. So anytime there's someone on my team, it could be the intern, it could be my direct report who helps with that, it's a big plus, right? The networking, even ask Ethan. Ethan retired from Amazon, right? He's in his 50s now. He still does these networking techniques, and he wished he started them earlier. So keep doing that. Let's see. Proving pilots, I mean, you always have to prove pilots when you're dealing with a new technology, a new business industry, a new domain, a new idea. So always use that. And the next level role scope, always pinpoint the next two. Remember, it's very hard to do everything on the job description at once. So focus it on the 80% that really matters. And that's usually the top two that's listed there. Make sure you can nail those. Um, and then brag file. I'll just keep the brag file forever. It's a deeper version of your LinkedIn and resume. Because remember, it also helps. There'll be a certain point in your career, this is usually more senior, where majority of your next opportunities will almost always be referrals. It's funny, when I look back at my career, every single one of my jobs, including my first job, because it came from an internship, was a referral. The one exception was when I got executive recruited, but then it was the referrals from my network that landed the deal when I first got the VP role. So why the brag file matters is because you might have a loose network from 5 years ago and they started a new role at XYZ company. And they're like, hey, Mary or Lorraine or whoever, I remember you were really good at this job, marketing, ops, design, etc. Would you be interested in this? You not only want to say yes, but you want to give them like a quick refresher on what you did together. And that's where you could pull back out some of those details. I see Preeti's question in the chat. Yes, the video recording will be shared. It'll be shared in two ways. Maven will automatically share it within 48 hours. It'll email everyone. And then I'll put it on our YouTube channel, which is Ethan Evans VP. That's our YouTube channel name. Okay. Let me just go. Oh, we got two more sneaky questions came in at the last minute. Okay. Well, you know what? Since I like to answer questions and these are fun, I'll round it out with these last two. Okay, question 4. You talked about presence. What if someone is hopelessly awkward and sucks at presence and energy? Okay, yeah, we get this question a lot. Okay. First of all, when it comes to presence, there are different types of presence. There are quiet leaders, there are extroverted leaders, there are calm leaders, there are high energy leaders. There's not one size fits all. Do what fits most natural to you, what you're comfortable with, and what you're good at. At the same time, you want to proactively put yourself in uncomfortable situations because that is the fastest way to grow, right? There's that saying that you don't become a good sailor in calm waters. It's just impossible, right? So presence, the way to do it, in my opinion, is to get real high stakes situation experience. And you could start off in a tiered approach. Tier 1 is safe environments, right? The safest environment is talking to your friends, family, like giving presentations to them or saying, hey, can I run this through you? And you just give me candid feedback. Safe. The second one is you could do it at your college or high school, as a college or high school alumni. They always love to hear from successful, ambitious alumni. You could do it at a charity that you volunteer at a nonprofit where you teach something to them, or you sit on a panel sharing your expertise, something you are already knowledgeable about. That's tier 2. Tier 3 can be at your company. You could give lunch and learns, right? On something that is either a case study or that you learned and worked, right? Lunch and learns, share it with your team. Then you can start to expand it a little bit broader. Internal company panels. Maybe you could be on a speaking panel at an affinity group. And then maybe a team-wide all hands. And then you could get bigger and bigger. If you want a external forcing function, you can join a group like Toastmasters. I've never done Toastmasters. My wife has done it. I have a lot of friends who've done it, and they all say it's 11 out of 10 experience because it gets you comfortable with quick wit, reading the room, thinking fast on your feet, different situations, surprises. And the more reps you do it, it's like building muscle. You just become more comfortable with it over time. But you have to practice in real environments, not always in front of a mirror or in reading a book. You have to put yourself through osmosis. So that's my recommendation. I was not always a good speaker. When I started my career, I'll tell you this. Early in my career, this was probably within the first 12 months of my job. I gave a presentation to the team, and instead of saying Tim Cook, I said Tim Apple. And everyone laughed. And I was like, oh boy, it's the end of my career. I'm a horrible presenter. Everyone's laughing at me. I think I need to find a new job. But it was, I over exaggerated that. Um, People thought it was funny, and I just corrected myself, and they just went on about it. No one cares, right? So it wasn't that big of a deal, but I always remembered it. I thought it was the end of the world that I needed a new job, but that wasn't the case. Um, so it's not as bad as you think it could be. uh, the thing is, here's the thing when you mess up. Always remember two things. Number one, it's a learning experience, it's a growth experience, and you just have to pick yourself up and learn from it and don't do it again. And the second thing is when you make a mistake in real time, how you handle that mistakes can speak volumes. Do you stay calm? Do you pick yourself back up? And do you continue it and end it strong? People will remember that. It's almost like handling crisis moments or fire drills. If you could be the person who can usher in the team or the project through that, it speaks volumes to senior executives. It's almost like a fast track way. Now, I'm not saying create crisis moments, but when they do happen, because they probably will happen, be calm and do it. Okay. Oh, you know what? Okay, this reminded me. For people with presence who maybe it's awkward or hard, something that's worked for me really well is breath work. I do 12 minutes breath work every morning, super simple. I just found a 12-minute video free on YouTube. Breath work is really important because when you can control your breathing, you can control your pulse and how fast you speak and how nervous you get and how much you sweat. I've been doing this for over 5 years now, straight every single day, and it works. I learned this from a good friend of mine. He is a athletics coach, specifically for Olympians and Olympic champions. He was the high performance director at Red Bull. One of his most famous clients was Shaun White, the legendary snowboarder and skateboarder. And I asked him once, his name's Andy. I asked him, Andy, what's one of the hardest things these elite athletes have? What's hard for them to overcome? And he said, the technical abilities, the physical abilities, they're all A plus. They're all outstanding at this level. The hardest part is controlled breathing at the peak adrenaline moments. So for Shaun White, it would be last run, snowboarding, Olympic gold on the line. You need to hit X score, and he's doing like the pipeline. It's at the height, and he needs to hit like a 720 or 360, something like that, right? Can you maintain the controlled breathing? That was the hardest. So I figured, okay, well, if it's important to gold medal athletes, it could probably help me, right? So that's what I did. So breath work. Okay, last question. Let's see. If you're having a hard time for being the lead driver and you're being asked to become more like a coach and partner in order to land a promotion, what do you do then? Okay, so you know what? Here's the bright side to this. You got feedback from your manager on what you need to land your promotion. That's great. Some people never get that visibility. So what this reads to me is your manager has determined that you have shown enough capability to be the lead that box is checked for your promotion. And then basically the next line in your promotion is you need to be a stronger partner with your peers or your cross-functional stakeholders to show that you could expand your scope of influence. That's what this reads to me. Because remember, in a promotion document, there's a couple of things that the top approvers are always looking for. Have they shown and proved next level capability? That's almost like de-risking, right? Because they're like, we don't want to promote you and make a mistake. The second one is you always have to answer this question. What are the best reasons not to promote you? There are always those reasons. You cannot go in there and saying there's no reasons not to promote me because that's always untrue, right? At every level. So the best way is to circumvent that and be proactive and answer those with your manager. And it's usually one or two things, like the biggest glaring things. And in this case, it reads like it could be, hey, your peers need to see you as a better partner. Maybe because you're too silent with them or you don't work well with them, or maybe you steamroll them, right? Sometimes in my career, to get things through and deliver results, sometimes I've definitely steamrolled and bulldozed over some. There's a time and place for that, but that's what it sounds like you need to do. So remember, always answer those two things in your promo doc. So I would work with your manager on doing that, and then just keep asking, hey, how am I doing on this? And once you nail it, move on to the next thing. What can I keep improving on? I remember I wasn't there, but my friend told me there was a talk with Brian Chesky, the CEO of Airbnb, with Reid Hoffman, who was the former CEO and co-founder of LinkedIn. They were doing a panel, and then immediately after the panel, Brian Chesky asked Reid, "What could I have improved on?" And this is the co-founder of Airbnb, right? And a lot of people would think, well, maybe there's nothing you need to improve on, but by him proactively asking Reid, what could I have improved on? In that moment, it just shows a growth mindset. That even though you're the CEO and co-founder of a publicly traded, multi-billion dollar, high impact company, you still know that you can grow. So you want to show that. That shows coachability. And it shows humility and self-awareness. So that's where you want to do you want to showcase that with your manager? Okay. I think that's everything. Okay, cool. We're done. That was a fun session. We went double the time. And yeah, connect with Lorraine and myself on LinkedIn. We love to hear from people. And if you take action on any of these and you see some progress and results, just let me know on LinkedIn. I love to hear from students, readers, viewers, whatever. The most important thing is to take action. And it could be small because I'm telling you, it compounds so quickly. And yeah, I'll leave it at that because there's so much. I don't want to repeat myself, but just keep taking action. It really works. Okay. Thanks, everyone. Good to see and read your questions. Bye.